What if the story we have all been told about modern royalty isn't just a fairy tale, but a masterfully edited script? We've all seen the image, Meghan Markle, the composed public figure, the independent voice, and the ultimate symbol of change within the world's most rigid institution. To millions, she represents a break from a stuffy, outdated past, a breath of fresh air in a palace that had grown cold. But behind that polished exterior, a much more complicated narrative is beginning to unravel, and the cracks are starting to show in ways that the palace and the Sussexes themselves never expected. The world is starting to ask one very uncomfortable question. Is the Meghan Markle we see publicly the real person? Or is she a character created for a global audience? For years, Meghan has been portrayed as a victim of a system that wasn't ready for her. She was the outsider who stepped into an institution steeped in centuries of tradition and dared to challenge it. It's a compelling story, the kind people want to believe in. But as more voices enter the conversation, that version of events is being challenged by the people who knew her long before she ever met a prince. And leading that charge is someone who refuses to be silenced, her half-sister, Samantha Markle. Samantha has been vocal, and her claims go far beyond simple family disagreements. She suggests that the public identity we know was deliberately crafted, piece by piece, and that the real Meghan was left behind long ago. But that was only the beginning of the story. The core of this entire crisis revolves around one word: authenticity. In the world of high-stakes public relations, image is everything. If you control the narrative, you control the truth. Samantha Markle's perspective is that Meghan didn't just grow distant from her family, she actively removed them because their existence didn't jive with the story she was telling the royals and the world. Samantha claims that Meghan iced out their father, Thomas Markle, not because of his mistakes, but because he knew too much about her past. She suggests that the waitress to Duchess story required a clean slate, and any family members who didn't fit that A-list aesthetic had to go. If even a fraction of this is true, it raises massive questions about how stories are presented to the public. Was this a natural evolution of a woman finding her feet? Or was it a strategic erasing of a life that no longer fit the brand? But as deep as the family drama goes, what's surfacing now is even more shocking. Recently, the conversation shifted from family feuds to something much more sensitive and potentially explosive. For a long time, speculation about Meghan's pregnancies has simmered in the darker corners of the internet. Most people dismissed it as baseless gossip. But then, a new voice emerged, a woman identified only as DL. Unlike the vague rumors of the past, DL's claims were hauntingly specific. She didn't just talk about theories, she spoke about documentation, medical paperwork, and confidentiality agreements that were designed to keep her hidden forever. She claims she wasn't just a spectator in the story of the royal births, she was the central figure. Now, it's vital to handle this carefully. These claims remain unverified, and there is no confirmed evidence to support them. But the sheer level of detail DL has provided has made it impossible for the public to simply look away. She describes a reality that is the polar opposite of the public images of a glowing pregnant duchess. While Meghan was attending events and being photographed by the world's media, DL alleges that the actual physical process was happening in total secrecy, far from the cameras under the shadow of strict legal threats. According to her, she was the one experiencing the physical reality behind the scenes while the world was shown a carefully managed presentation. But if she was telling the truth, why would someone go to such lengths to hide it? The DL narrative suggests that what started as a structured professional agreement eventually turned into something far more complicated. She describes a sense of isolation and the emotional weight of carrying children who would eventually be the most famous in the world, all while being legally barred from ever acknowledging her role. She speaks about long periods of being kept out of sight and the financial and physical toll the process took on her. This is where the story gets truly dark. If these allegations have any merit, it suggests a level of control and manipulation that goes far beyond typical PR. It implies that the empowerment narrative Meghan has championed might be built on the silence of another woman. And what happened next would leave the public more divided than ever. When you place DL's version of events next to Meghan's public messaging, the disconnect is jarring. Meghan has built her brand on transparency, advocacy, and speaking her truth. Yet, when it comes to the most significant moments of her life, the births of her children, the level of secrecy was unprecedented. To understand why this has fueled so much skepticism, you have to look at how the royals have traditionally handled these moments. For decades, the birth of a royal child was a public event. It was the ultimate moment of accountability. When Princess Diana had Harry and William, she stood on the steps of St. Mary's Hospital just hours later. She was vulnerable, she was real, and she was transparent. She showed the world that these children were of the body, a phrase that holds immense weight in royal law. Years later, Catherine, the Princess of Wales, followed that exact same tradition. Despite the immense pressure and the physical toll of childbirth, she appeared before the world's cameras with each of her 3 children. It was a symbol of continuity and a thank you to the public who supports the monarchy. It reinforced the idea that the royals belong to the people. But when it was Meghan's turn, everything changed. There were no hospital step photos. There were no immediate public appearances. The details were kept under a total blackout. At the time that the Sussexes framed this as a move for privacy, a way to protect their growing family from the toxic media, and many supported them. But for others, this departure from tradition didn't feel like privacy. It felt like avoidance. The lack of clear, consistent information created a vacuum. And as any student of history knows, when there is a vacuum of information, speculation rushes in to fill it. This is where the moon bump theories began to take on a life of their own. Critics and online investigators started scouring every frame of footage from Meghan's public appearances. They pointed to clips where her abdomen appeared to sway in ways that didn't seem biologically possible. They noted inconsistencies in her silhouette and moments where the bump seemed to change size or position between morning and afternoon events. To the average observer, it might seem like over-analysis, but to those already skeptical, it was the smoking gun. One particular clip became the centerpiece of the debate. It shows Meghan walking toward the camera in a patterned dress, and as she moves, her abdomen appears to shift from side to side in a rhythmic motion. Online commentators argued that a real pregnancy doesn't move that way. They suggested it looked like a prosthetic that had become unaligned. Then there were the photos from the animal shelter visit, where Meghan knelt down with her knees together, a feat many mothers pointed out is nearly impossible in the late stages of pregnancy without the bump hitting the thighs or shifting. Again, these are theories, not facts. But the fact that these videos have millions of views and thousands of comments shows just how much the public narrative has shifted. People are no longer just watching the Sussexes, they are investigating them. And the silence from the couple has only added fuel to the fire. But why does any of this matter? Isn't a woman's pregnancy her own business? In most cases, yes. But in the world of the British monarchy, the rules are different. This brings us to the of the body clause. According to royal protocol and historical law, any child in the line of succession must be born of the body of the royal mother. This isn't just a tradition, it's a legal requirement to ensure the legitimacy of the throne. If a child is born via a surrogate, even if they are biologically related to both parents, they are legally excluded from the line of succession. This is the secret that many believe the palace and the Sussexes are desperate to protect. If it were ever proven that Archie or Lilibet were born via a surrogate, the constitutional implications would be massive. It would mean that the official records were falsified and the line of succession was compromised. This legal reality explains why the stakes are so high. It's not just about a personal choice, it's about the integrity of the institution itself. Samantha Markle has hinted at this many times, suggesting that the irrefutable truth will eventually come out and that it will shake the monarchy to its core. She describes a situation where the truth was iced out to maintain a specific legal and public standing. And this is where the mystery of the doctors comes in. Traditionally, royal births are attended by the Queen's surgeons, the most elite medical professionals in the country. They are the ones who sign the birth announcement that is placed on the easel outside Buckingham Palace. But for Archie's birth, those signatures were missing. The public was told the doctors' names would be kept private. For Lilibet's birth in California, the secrecy was even deeper. No official doctors were named and no royal medical team was present. For a family that lives in the spotlight, these missing details are glaring. In the world of high-stakes crisis management, there is a golden rule. If a lie is circulating, you crush it with the truth. If the moon bump theories were entirely baseless, a simple piece of evidence, a medical statement, or a more transparent approach to the birth could have ended the speculation instantly. But that didn't happen. Instead, the response from the Sussex camp was legal. Reports surfaced that their legal team began contacting media outlets, cautioning them against reporting on the DL claims or the surrogacy rumors. While this is a standard move for protecting a reputation, it had an unintended side effect. To many, it felt like they were trying to suppress the conversation rather than answer the questions. It's a strategy that works in traditional media, but in the age of YouTube and TikTok, it only makes people dig deeper. This is the central irony of the Sussex brand. They have positioned themselves as the truth tellers of the royal family. In their Netflix documentary and in Harry's book, Spare, they spoke at length about the machinery of the palace and how stories are planted or leaked. They claimed they wanted to set the record straight, but when the public began asking for their own record to be set straight, the shutters came down. This silence has been interpreted in two very different ways. Their supporters see it as a dignified refusal to engage with crazy conspiracy theories, but their critics see it as a sign of vulnerability. They argue that if you have nothing to hide, you don't need a team of lawyers to guard the secret. And then there is the role of Prince Harry. Throughout this entire ordeal, he has been his wife's most fierce protector, but his role in the official narrative has also come under fire. In Spare, he described the births of his children in detail. Yet even those descriptions were criticized by some for feeling rehearsed or lacking the raw, unpolished reality of his other stories. He spoke about Nando's and epidurals, IBA, but some noticed that he never actually mentioned seeing the physical birth in a way that would dispel the rumors. Some wonder if Harry is a co-author of this constructed narrative or if he is simply protecting the woman he loves from a world he believes is out to get her. Regardless of the motive, the result is the same: a growing divide between what the couple says and what a large portion of the public believes. The situation has now reached a tipping point. This is no longer just about tabloids or family drama. It's about a fundamental crisis of credibility. When a public figure bases their entire identity on being authentic and organic, any hint of fabrication becomes a terminal threat to their brand. Samantha Markle's claims that Meghan staged her life combined with the DL allegations of a hidden surrogate have created a perfect storm of skepticism. Even if these claims are eventually proven false, the damage to the narrative may already be done. Once the public starts looking for the seams in the story, that they never stop looking, they begin to re-examine everything: the wedding, the interviews, the charity work. Everything becomes a performance. As more people tune into these discussions, the data suggests that public opinion is evolving in real time. Online polls and social media sentiment show a significant shift. People who once defended the Sussexes' right to privacy are now asking why that privacy seems to hide so many inconsistencies. The conversation, clears throat, has moved from the what to the why. Why the secrecy? Why the legal threats? Why the break from centuries of royal tradition? In the absence of clear answers, the unraveling continues. Every new clip, every new statement from Samantha, and every new leak from sources like DL adds another layer to the mystery. It's like a puzzle where the pieces are starting to fit together, but the picture they form isn't the one we were promised. Think about the impact this has on the monarchy as a whole. The British royal family relies on one thing to survive: public consent. That consent is built on trust. For centuries, the mystery of the crown was protected by its distance, but in the 21st century, distance is gone. We expect to see everything. We expect transparency. When a member of that family is accused of such massive deceptions, it reflects on the entire institution. If the palace knew about these inconsistencies and helped cover them up, as some critics suggest, then the crisis isn't just about Meghan and Harry, it's about the crown itself. This is why the DL claims are so dangerous. They don't just target a person, they target the system. The DL story, as unverified as it is, paints a picture of a woman who felt used and then discarded by the most powerful family in the world. She claims that she was a ghost in her own life, carrying children for a couple who would go on to talk about parenting and family on a global stage while she was left with medical bills and a stack of legal papers. Whether she's telling the truth or not, the narrative of the silenced woman is a powerful one. It mirrors the very stories Meghan herself has told about her time in the palace. If the tables have turned and Meghan has become the oppressor in someone else's story, the fallout would be catastrophic for her reputation. Ultimately, this story is about more than just one couple. It's a reflection of our modern world where the line between reality and PR is thinner than ever. We live in an era where identities can be curated, pasts can be erased, and stories can be optimized for maximum impact. Meghan Markle is the ultimate example of this modern phenomenon. She is a woman who understood the power of the narrative and used it to climb to the very top of the global stage. She realized that in the age of social media, you don't just live a life, you produce it. But the problem with a produced life is that it requires everyone to follow the script. And right now, the actors are starting to ad-lib. Whether you believe Samantha Markle's claims or see them as the bitterness of a sidelined sibling, you cannot deny the impact she has had. She has provided a counterscript that makes people re-examine everything they thought they knew. She has forced the world to look at the Waitress to Duchess story not as a miracle, but as a movie. And whether you think the DL surrogate story is a wild conspiracy or a hidden truth, its persistence is a testament to the lack of trust many feel toward the official royal story. The polished image is no longer enough. The public is demanding the unvarnished truth, and they won't stop until they find it. They want to know what happened behind those closed doors in California. They want to know why the medical records are sealed. They want to know if the children we see are the same children the law recognizes. So, where does this leave the Sussexes? They find themselves in a difficult position. If they continue their silence, the rumors will only grow louder and more detailed. The internet will continue to expose new inconsistencies, and more voices like DL may emerge. If they speak out, they risk giving the conspiracies the very legitimacy they want to avoid. It's a classic catch-22. They are trapped in a narrative of their own making. For a couple that wants to change the world, they are currently finding it very difficult to change the conversation about themselves. The truth they wanted to tell has been overshadowed by a truth the public is trying to find. In the meantime, the narrative continues to shift, and the world continues to watch. The fairy tale has turned into a mystery, and in a mystery, everyone is looking for the final reveal. We are looking for the moment when the curtain is pulled back and the real story is finally told. But in the world of the British royal family, the final reveal doesn't always come. Sometimes the secrets are buried so deep that they become part of the foundation. They become the hidden history that future generations will debate. But for now, we are living in the middle of the mystery. We are watching the unraveling in real time. As we move forward, one thing is certain: the story of Meghan Markle is far from over. It is a story of ambition, image, and the high cost of living a life in the public eye. It's a story about the power of the truth and how that truth can be shaped, hidden, or exposed. Whether the real Meghan ever truly emerges remains to be seen. But until then, the questions will continue to pile up, the moon bump clips will continue to circulate, and the world will keep searching for the cracks in the polished exterior. Because in the end, everyone wants to know what's really happening behind the palace walls. Is it a story of love and liberation? Or is it the most successful PR campaign in human history? If you followed this story this far, you know that the deeper you dig, the more complicated it gets. This isn't just about gossip. It's about how we understand the people who lead us and the stories they tell. Is it possible for someone to truly reinvent themselves? Or does the past always find a way to surface? And when it does, what happens to the image that was built on its absence? These are the questions that keep this story alive, and they are the reason why this controversy isn't going anywhere. The narrative has changed, and there is no going back to the way things were. The polished duchess and the silenced surrogate are now two sides of the same coin, and the world is waiting for that coin to drop.